Hey everyone, I'm Phil Albertelli from The Week in Doubt. You're probably all aware of the ongoing disaster or devastation that's being wrought on Puerto Rico by Hurricane Maria. Well, I remembered that one of my listeners who I interact with regularly online is from Puerto Rico. I decided to contact her and see how she was faring. I mistakenly assumed that she was currently living there, but she's actually in the States, so she's safe, but her family back home have been hit really hard. I asked her if she had any links or info that she wanted me to share on the show, and she provided me with information for those who want to help. I also asked her if it was alright to share her personal story, and she gave me her blessing. Well, blessing, figuratively speaking, given the nature of the podcast. So I'd like to read her response to my initial message. And I don't know if she wants me reading her whole name on the air, but her first name is Liz Marie. And I wrote to her, I remembered that you are in Puerto Rico. How are you doing? And she replied, I'm actually not myself, but all my family is. I'm the only one in Iowa, and my family counts on me. Things are rough right now. My brother was in line for gasoline for 3 hours yesterday. My sister-in-law was in line for gasoline for her parents since 3:30 a.m. this morning. My home in Puerto Rico, large parts of it are gone. My niece's home is entirely gone. My brother's home is flooded. They have no electricity or running water, so they have to rely on generators and long lines for basic goods and services. Only a few banks will open for a few hours, and most ATMs are without money. My sister-in-law's dad is near the end stages of a difficult illness, and he is bedridden in the hospital. They have no power, and it's very scary right now. People are looting and stealing vehicles just so they can steal the gas and abandon them elsewhere. It is difficult to be so impotent from afar, but with a little help from Wells Fargo and folks donating money from my family, I wired some money to my mom's direct bank account in Puerto Rico. It might be a bit before she gets it, but it's the only system working right now. They will need my financial support until they are able to work and earn wages themselves, because right now those things are limited, and the state has a general curfew of 6 p.m., impeding many people from working longer hours or doing more for their homes. I'm going to still keep sending them as much as I can on my limited earnings and whatever people are happy to give me. It's just been a total nightmare, really. I have diabetes, and the stress has just put a lot of strain on my heart, and now I have to see a cardiologist. It's really one of the worst things ever. We could be doing better, but we're not getting aid as quickly as we could. With over 3,000 containers of aid just sitting there untouched, and no one distributing them from FEMA, and not allowing anyone to do anything. Trump didn't even want to suspend the Jones Act because of quote unquote business interests, i.e., shipping companies wanting to make a lot of money off of us, so that foreign vessels can bring us aid for cheaper and more quickly. I can't even sleep at night. Aaron Ra has asked me to be on his podcast and talk about the issues. I'll do whatever it takes, I guess. And I replied, I'm glad you're safe, but so sorry for your family. Sounds like an absolute nightmare. Yeah, if you're up to it, you should go on Aaron's show. I'm going to try to get an episode out by tomorrow. Are there any links you want to give me where people can donate? Anything you'd like me to say? And she replied, there are a lot of immediate ways to donate monetarily. People should help with their money because right now inexperienced volunteers would be in the way, and there's no USPS postal service. Please call your state representatives to put pressure on President Trump to move supplies quicker and to not hold back on the things we need at this time. We are American citizens and people are on the verge of dying. People in hospitals have already started dying from no power. People in their homes from no medications like insulin. This is a real and serious situation. I understand some folks feel they don't trust donation organizations. If that is the case, find a Puerto Rican friend and help them and their families. Help someone we will not be able to do on our own, as we are an island. We can't drive out of it or get resources elsewhere. Do not forget about us. And she included a link to a PBS site. And it's dated the 25th, and it's entitled How You Can Help Hurricane Victims in Puerto Rico. Islands throughout the Caribbean communities are beginning a long road to recovery from several major hurricanes that have ravaged the Atlantic, but Puerto Rico in particular is facing what local officials have described as a full blown humanitarian crisis, with devastation they call apocalyptic. Less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Irma made landfall on the island, Puerto Rico was hit by Hurricane Maria, the worst natural disaster the island has seen in nearly a century. 16 people have died as a result of the storm. According to the Associated Press, a number local officials expect to rise. The island has virtually no running water or electricity. Around 80% of the island's crops have been destroyed. Scores of Puerto Ricans are gathering around what's left of the island's cell towers, desperate for contact with loved ones. Nearly all of the U.S. territory's 3.4 million residents need assistance recovering from the storm. Here's how you can help. And first, it lists cash. It says most organizations are asking for cash rather than supplies, so they can route help to where it's needed most more quickly. Here are some of the largest groups with campaigns underway. United for Puerto Rico, spearheaded by the First Lady of Puerto Rico, UNICEF, Center for Popular Democracy, Hispanic Federation's Unidos page. Am I butchering that? Unidos. International Medical Corps. Former U.S. presidents have expanded their One America appeal to include recovery efforts in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Catholic Relief Services, AmeriCares, Direct Relief, Save the Children, which focuses specifically on the needs of families and their children. Global Giving has a $2 million goal for victims of Hurricane Maria. GoFundMe has also created a hub that includes all campaigns for Hurricane Maria. You can also find campaigns for individual families seeking help for loved ones. Then it talks about supplies. The government of Puerto Rico has also launched a guide that details how individuals or companies can donate emergency and construction supplies, from bottled water, hand sanitizer, and formula to extension cords, tarps, and safety glasses. The National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters, VOAD, is coordinating many of these donations. And then it gives a link to the VOAD site. Volunteers. Once infrastructure is stable, the island will also need volunteers. VOAD is a good place to start. It can help match you with organizations with efforts already underway. And then it says, spread the word. Part of the problem is that much of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean isn't able to ask for help due to loss of power and infrastructure. Facebook has a safety check page for victims and their families to check in with each other, as does Google Docs Personal Finder. If you or a loved one has access to any kind of cell or internet service, the American Red Cross also has an emergency app for safety check-ins and updates. Univision launched an interactive page where you can search for updates on individual municipalities. Officials in Puerto Rico are also asking people to report U.S. citizens who need emergency assistance to the State Department through its Task Force Alert program. Go to tfa.state.gov and select 2017 Storm Maria. And then I replied to her, I made you a separate episode just to help spread the message. Would you prefer that I leave your personal story out of it? And she replied, you may talk about me. That might help put a face to the need to some people. If they realize a lot of us atheists are also affected, you may also share about, is it Atiestas de Puerto Rico? My Spanish must be horrible. I'm already infamous for the way I butcher words, and I know next to nothing about Spanish. Atiestas de Puerto Rico. If I am butchering it, I hope at least someone's getting, a chuckle out of it. Maybe it'll lift someone's spirits. Who are trying their best to reach those in the more remote areas with no communication. Most of my extended family is in those remote areas. Juana Diaz, hope I'm not butchering that, in the Southwest. And yeah, and she gave me a link. If you go to Atiestas, I'm sure I'm butchering that, Ateistas de Puerto Rico, and they have a disaster relief page. Yeah, and it says down here in English, we have partnered with American Atheists to help support our secular family in Puerto Rico. So that's very cool. And there's also a Facebook page for, I know, I'm afraid to say it because I know I'm butchering it, for ateistas, I don't know, de Puerto Rico. And so you can go right to the Facebook page and actually donate there too. There's a donate button. And so I said, okay, is it all right to read your message verbatim? I have to head off to work, but I'll try to get something out tonight. And she says, yes, it's fine. So there you have it. And I thought that I could tell by the way she was talking, by her message, that it sounds like Liz Marie's own family is in need of help. And I thought that maybe she might give some way that people could donate to her family specifically. But I don't know. Maybe she felt a little shy about it. I don't know. But a very good person. And I hope her family and everyone else in Puerto Rico who needs help get the help they desperately need. And that was very nice of her to, even though she didn't give any links to help her family directly, she gave a lot of good tips and links about how you can help in general. So I hope this helps in some way. And I know those of you who tuned in hoping for a regular episode of The Week in Doubt, you might have been caught a little off guard by this. But I think doing this was the right thing to do, and I'm glad I did it. And I am working on a regular episode of The Week in Doubt. I'm about halfway through. I might not get it out till Sunday. I have a crazy busy weekend ahead of me. And a message to Liz Marie, if you see a link to this episode on the Facebook page or on YouTube, feel free to chime in and maybe give more links so people can help. Maybe if you want to, even a way people can help your family directly. All right, brothers and sisters, until next time.